Esprit is a retail clothing chain that started in 1968. Thank you for your suggestions and comments.
I would like to invent a potion that makes sick people feel better. Take all the water fountains out of the buildings.
Why?
They might flood the buildings.
There would be no gum on the sidewalks that you would have to worry about stepping in.
That every drinking water is fresh from the river, so we can drink it when someone needs to drink.
The company was started in 1968 by Susie and Doug Tompkins and Jane Ties in San Francisco. They named it Plain Jane Dress Company. The story of Esprit began when two 20-something friends decided to make dresses they actually wanted to wear. In 1968, Susie Tompkins and Jane Ties called their new company Plain Jane and began selling dresses to local boutiques out of the back of a Volkswagen bus. Soon Tompkins' husband, Doug, joined the venture, using $50,000 from the sale of their outdoor apparel shop, a little place called The North Face, to cover a garment factory producing their design in lots of 100. The owners once said, when we started the Plain Jane Dress Company in 1968, we never dreamed it would develop into a worldwide organization, now known as Esprit, with operations in dozens of countries. By 1970, Plain Jane was raking in a healthy amount of money, about $2 million in sales, allowing them to move their headquarters. With this move came a new name, Esprit Decor, which consolidated the many brands they were manufacturing under at the time. The Plain Jane operation was a small operation. Susie Tompkins and Ties were in charge of packaging, and Doug Tompkins ran the business side of the company. They convinced department stores like Joseph Magnin to stock their goods in store and host pop-up shops. When we started Esprit, we had no previous experience whatsoever in the fashion business. What business skills we might have possessed came from being in the mountain climbing equipment industry for a brief time. Esprit Decor, our official corporate name, was intended to inspire the spirit of the organization and evoke a sense of cooperation, camaraderie, and community. Their dresses were cute and trendy, as an early ad said, plain Janes in name only. Their style drew both from San Francisco's stoned, nonchalant hippie culture as it did from everyday fashions of the 1930s and 1940s, with lots of florals and what one San Francisco Examiner fashion critic called LOL, or little old lady prints. The couple became sole owners in 1975. The idea of fashion, image, and image making was far from our minds. It was not, in fact, until 12 years after the founding of the company that any attempt to form an image and create a context for the product was made. In 1979, Esprit brought in graphic designer John Casado, who designed the branding trademark of the first Macintosh computer, to develop and design the brand's stencil effect logo. In 1980, a radical shift in direction was undertaken. A mixed bag of 7 different trade names was consolidated under one name, Esprit, and a new logo along with new labels, tags, packaging, and strong fashion photography was created. In the early 1980s, a poor business decision over shopping venues nearly caused the downfall of Esprit Decor. Though it had its best success as a subsection of other retail outlets, the company attempted to expand its base into individual outlets. This put Esprit into direct competition with such names as Gap and The Limited. By the time Esprit had extricated itself from this marketing notion, the fashion line had, according to one industry expert, missed the market for 5 years. They missed 20 seasons, meaning they lost half a generation of kids. Esprit appealed to the youth with a message of lefty post-racial harmony, while prints, bright colors, and baggy silhouettes reigned. Their tote bags and t-shirts hung from all of the coolest shoulders, adorning fashion plates with the legendary Esprit logo. With the logo's omnipresence at the time, it may as well have been supreme for the teens of the late 1980s and early 1990s. In 1985, the brand debuted its legendary Real People campaign, photographed by photographer Oliviero Toscani and featuring Esprit employees, architects, and designers, among them Ettore Satsas. Esprit products included a variety of apparel, including apparel essentials, casual sportswear, and other specialty capsules and collections for men, women, and children. The brand assortment also included sportswear, swimwear, and activewear. Additionally, Esprit carried accessories such as bags, shoes, and underwear for men, women, and children. Between 1975 and 1987, Esprit's worldwide sales approached $1 billion. But Esprit posted its first ever losses in 1987, a stressor that would break the already fracturing relationship between Doug and Susie Tompkins. By this point, a nearly two-decade run of nonstop growth had stalled. The two blamed each other, outsiders blamed the two of them, and they disagreed on the company's direction, and sales dropped. The two very publicly fought over who would take the company over. 3 new directors, one after another, came in to try and quell these tensions. For a while, it seemed that Doug would helm Esprit for good, with Goldman Sachs investors offering up Susie's shares for $350 million. They ended up divorcing in 1988. Doug offered to buy the company from under Susie. She considered the proposal until a meeting with another fashion entrepreneur, Bruce Katz of Rockport Shoes, persuaded her to stay with the company she had founded. So the designer elected to buy Doug out instead, enlisting the financial support of Katz and several others. The estranged Doug and Susie met to work out the future of Esprit. They came to the decision that Susie would buy back the company and Doug would bow out to the tune of $125 million. By 1989, at its peak commercial presence in the US, Esprit had 80 stores and outlets nationwide, not to mention the countless department stores where Esprit was sold. With no one stable at the helm, cracks began to show. The quality of the goods went to the gutter. Even when the fashion cycle moved on to off-duty model chic and Kurt Cobain and hip-hop, Esprit kept churning out print-heavy, neon-glow clothes. But in 1990, when Goldman Sachs backed out, Susie emerged as the victor. Susie tried to resuscitate the bloated brand with a 1992 collection called E-Collection, an environmentally minded line with organic cotton and wool. It flopped with their primary demographic of teeny boppers. Her next effort, the Susie Tompkins signature line, was considered more sophisticated and aimed at working women older than 25. It had flopped as well, with critics calling it drab, muddled, a far cry from their playful roots, and the line was discontinued in 1995. In the field of marketing, Esprit worked hard to keep its brand name in chain department stores like TJ Maxx and in various company-owned venues. Franchises ranged in location from Hawaii to Puerto Rico, and Esprit maintained outlet stores throughout the US. Tompkins also stressed Esprit wasn't trendy. As she stated in an article, "We don't have to be doing what everybody else is doing. We just have to do our style," which is kind of the eclecticness and integrity of design. Mixing old things with new things have always a really nice way of presenting color. Even the $8 million "What Would You Do" campaign didn't move the needle for sales. A revolving door of CEOs came and went. The media stopped covering it as a bohemian brand from San Francisco. It became just another fading clothing monolith. Unfortunately for Tompkins and Esprit, however, was the company slid into trouble in the mid and late 1990s. Tompkins left the company after creditors took control, and Jay Margolis, formerly of Tommy Hilfiger, was brought in to save the ailing retailer in 1996. Margolis succeeded in revitalizing Esprit's image and bringing the firm back to profitability through a slew of shrewd marketing deals. Declining to renew his contract, he left in late 1999. He was replaced by Joe Hyde, a former Revlon executive. Hyde focused less on licenses and more on Esprit's own brands. Hyde reintroduced the company to the UK by opening 2 large stores in 2000, even though only 2 years earlier, 9 Esprit outlets had been closed. Additionally, Hyde initiated a $10 million advertising campaign in home-based San Francisco, signed licensing deals for sleepwear, outerwear, and swimsuits for women and girls, launched a line of bath and body products called Esprit Scents and Senses in its 2 biggest markets, Germany and Hong Kong. Throughout the late 1990s and into the 2000s, Esprit experienced significant and rapid financial growth in multiple markets outside of the US. At its highest point, Esprit Holdings' market capitalization was over $20 billion. However, since the financial crisis in 2008, Esprit Holdings has faced a series of financial and market share setbacks. With the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, Esprit gradually closed all stores in China, Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and Macau. In April of 2022, Esprit entered the Asian market with the opening of a long-term pop-up store located in Seoul, South Korea, and followed up by having another pop-up store in Hong Kong in the summer of 2022. By the fall of 2022, after 5 years of losses, the company returned to profitability with a $48.5 million profit on $1 billion in revenues. Beginning in 2023, the brand adopted a new approach to its design strategy. As part of the new design strategy, Esprit will offer a seasonless selection of 8 hero or signature products: a multi-system parka, soft suit, tracksuit, soft skirts, logo chunky knits, button-down shirts, jeans, and a locker bag. In April of 2024, the Belgian franchise of Esprit filed for bankruptcy with the expected closure of its 15 self-operated stores and 148 job losses. The Swiss franchise had filed for bankruptcy in March of 2024 already. In May of 2024, the European operations of Esprit collapsed into administration. For the second time in 4 years, the company stated that its operations would continue for now and that 1,500 employees would be affected. Today, Esprit is what author Josh Botte said: the lasting impact of Esprit was not the clothes or the controversies, but the image that it sold. A special thank you to Michelle at Esprit Flashback on Instagram. Thank you for your generosity and the use of your pictures. So what do you remember about this place? Leave a comment or a suggestion for a future video below. And if you haven't already, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.
Bringing back memories from the good old days. That's super cool, man.